Hi, I'm Rachel, and welcome to my channel, La Bricoleuse, where I share tips, techniques, and career advice from almost 30 years working as a costume craftsperson. And welcome to another episode of Costume Professionals, where I interview people working in costume production across a range of different specializations.
Making a living, making costumes.
Today, I'm talking with Jennifer Q. Smith,
Owner of Avant Garb, a custom character costume company with 2 locations in Indianapolis, Indiana, and Maysville, Kentucky.
Let's jump into it. Tell us about Avant Garb and what you do, maybe a little about the clients you serve.
Well, I'm the queen of fuzz at Avant Garb. We design and build mascots for teams, corporations. You may have seen one of our most recent, I don't know, Tubby the Duke's mayonnaise jar, who is the unhinged mayonnaise. He was such a gas to make. Oh my goodness. And you may have seen, if you're a hockey fan, you may have seen some Budweiser or Pepsi cans we've made. We've made the mascot for University of Buffalo, for the Cleveland Cavaliers, for bunches and bunches of schools. Our second client when I started my Berkeley, California garage was Hewlett Packard. And 2 or 3 years ago, they called us again after 30 years. And we made them the most amazing, wild sort of night video character mascot. It was just hugely exciting. We had this great job making the nutrition labels for the FDA. That was fun. Food people don't want the nutrition labels. They want their name on the front and the back. But the FDA, of course, really loved these nutrition labels. That was fun.
Without giving away any trade secrets, can you tell me about the specialized media you use in creating these types of costumes?
I'm willing to give away any secret, and especially if somebody learns how to do it and they call me up and say they want to work for me. We use a lot of what I call ventilated foam. It's actually kind of a filter foam, but it's the stuff that they make pillows for boats and stuff. You know, we use these tubes, these tubings, and we put them together, and they're like hula hoops, but you know, it's much easier. If you buy a hula hoop, it's this size, and we make them into different shapes.
So, in addition to the hoops in the bodies, do you ever use rigid foundations in the heads, like vacuum form plastic or fiberglass?
We only use foam. Well, and helmets, of course, because the head is attached to an athletic helmet. But we only use foams because I feel like weight is hugely important in the design of a mascot. The head needs to be light. Otherwise, you're asking a lot of your performer. I'm all about safety too. I feel that it can be hugely damaging to be wearing a head that's too heavy. Oh boy. Ugh.
On the topic of safety, you're the president of the National Mascot Association. Can you talk about that organization?
We're really just about safety standards and best practices. Many organizations, schools, they get a mascot and they know nothing about the safety. How long should the person be in the mascot? They don't even think of getting a handler. There always should be a handler, somebody right by the mascot. If the mascot gets in, we like at least 2 actually, somebody close to the mascot and somebody 10 feet away who can tell you if incoming trouble, because the mascot should have good vision, but not much peripheral vision. You know, they're just looking out here. And to see what's over there, they have to look over there. But the big news might be over here. Lots of mascots just get sent out, being told to have fun, which is good advice, but they need help. Whenever I go to a Pacers game, say I watch Boomer, who is an amazing performer, the Pacers mascot. And I watch him go from handler to handler to handler to handler. There will be 6 people around him knowing where he's going to go, protecting him, because for many reasons, he's a star. They don't want him to get hurt. And they protect Boomer. We're not making any money off of this one. So, you know, if anyone wants to get our safety guidelines, just get on the contact on the National Mascot Association. We'll send you the file.
Would you talk about the performers you work with? Maybe how a mascot performer is different from a traditional stage actor?
people don't think of mascot performers necessarily as actors. They think of them as something else, I think. But, they are putting together their own skits and routines, and they are multi-dimensional characters. They have a lot going on their plate. They're writing the play, they're putting on the play, and they're the only actor in the play. It's pretty incredible. And they do it all quite silently, mostly. Oh, and by the way, mascot performers are just really good looking people. I was asked to speak to the NBA mascot performer meeting in Salt Lake City several years ago. I walk into this room with like the 20 most handsome men I have ever seen in my life. And they just look great. They're rock stars. They have that bravado, but they're not recognized on the street. So a little bit of that pride and look at how great I am is tamped down a bit, which makes them just utterly charming. One of the most famous mascots is the Philly Fanatic. And the original Philly Fanatic was Dave Raymond. He's a great guy and talented and athletic and silly, but his mother was deaf. He'd been speaking with his hands for many years. So speaking with his hands as the Philly Fanatic was, not a big deal.
I'm sure some clients come to you with an existing character design, but you also offer design services as well. Can you talk a bit about that?
We bring the two-dimensional into three-dimensional. If we're going to design it, we have a designer we've been working with for 15 years. First I designed, but I was designing, I was making patterns, it was too much. So I finally found a designer who can take the germ of an idea and really bring it to life. So we work with Tom Sapp with real characters on most of our designs.
In addition to the challenge of making a cartoon or a concept sketch into a wearable costume, isn't there also the need to make a costume the entertainer can perform in?
That is a really, really, really good observation, because we've used a few until we got to our current designer. We used a few other designers, and they just didn't have that sense of someone has to move and groove in this costume. We have had to have conversations with people about the cans and jars. Often they want them bigger, and we have to explain fitting through doors. The doors are about, 34 inches wide. They can only be so wide. They won't be able to get in or out. It's not like you can bend them. This is stiff foam. Oh, shoulder width is what? Maybe 20 inches. Maybe that's the widest. You're living in the imaginary world, but the imaginary world has to work in the real world.
Are these all one of a kind, or do you ever do multiples of the same character?
We do 1, 2, maybe 3. Really, I cannot count higher than 3. We will do the prototype, but we will send them to a mascot company that can make 50. We're not interested in that. I come from the art and the art world. Mass making of the same thing, kind of a factory, doesn't really interest me. I'm really interested in the piece. Once we did 9 or 10, and that was so hard for the NCAA. They had JJ Jumper, which was their official mascot, and we made, I think, 9 or 10 of them, a bunch. So many. When you make 9 or 10 mascots, that means you're making 18 or 20 shoes, and each shoe has 2 sides. We just lost count. We made 2 or 3 shoes more than we had to.
What advice do you have for those interested in character costume work? How can they develop their skills?
I just think you would start with cosplay. It's a real opportunity. I'd be looking at that stuff. They have a lot of things going on there. Or, if you're in Kentucky or Indianapolis, you might give us a call. We have 2 locations.
How did you get started?
Well, I just figured out how to do things just figured it out. I started with a group called Friends of the Rag in Seattle, which you probably never heard of. But we were this huge, huge, huge deal. We were a group of artists making wearable art in the mid-70s, I'll say. My first costume with them was my first really big costume with them was the sexy salmon. I made the sexy salmon for the opening of the Seattle Aquarium in, let's say 1974 maybe. because I thought, well, what's Seattle known for? It's known for the salmon, and what are salmon known for? They're known for their sex lives. They swim upstream and spawn, for goodness sake. And there were all of these other great aquatic costumes for the opening of the Seattle Art Museum. Anyway, that's where I got my start. So it was actually kind of an easy jump into making mascots from the sexy salmon.
Work-life balance and humane shift schedules are key topics of concern to costume professionals. Will you speak to your position on those?
Pay them more per hour. Don't keep anybody late. You'll be able to meet deadlines easier. I actually really love hiring creative mothers whose children are young, but they're away for a while. And they work maybe 9 to 3, which is in my mind a really great time to do, because after 3, I don't think there's any point in doing anything, because everybody makes mistakes after 3. And then when they're smart and bright and chipper in the morning, they have to fix those mistakes that they made when they were stupid after 3. So I learned a lot from these mothers who had to leave at 3 o'clock to get their kids. Things went so much faster. I don't know why costume shops keep people in the costume shop overtime until 10 o'clock at night, because from 3 to 6, they're making a lot of mistakes. Then from 7 to 9, they might be sort of smart again. But it drives me crazy. 3 to 5, I can't tell you how many mistakes, and often big ones, happen. Your mind just, in costume, you make so many decisions. And it's like your mind can't make another decision, solve another problem after 3 o'clock. It's my experience.
How about advice for freelancers and hourly rates?
I hear people say, well, somebody makes $40 an hour in a fast drafting patterns in some place. And so I'm going to charge $40 an hour, not understanding that the company is paying that person $40 an hour. But when they're putting the budget together, they're probably budgeting it at $160 an hour, because it has to pay for rent, it has to pay for machines, it has to pay for material, all sorts of stuff. It has to pay for healthcare, all sorts of stuff. So that $40 an hour is really billable, probably $160. I'm often commenting on the prices people want to charge for stuff, and I'm always stunned by how low they think. I mean, once someone was talking about putting in a zipper, and should she do it for $15 or $20? Something really ridiculous. And I think I said, have a minimum. Charge $350, because I am an artist and I'm in the material world, and the thinking about numbers and what you're going to charge and what you're worth, and what you're willing to say no to whether you're willing to say no to a really interesting job that really doesn't have enough funding behind it. All of these are interesting questions.
I can't close this interview without getting your thoughts about my favorite mascot, Gritty with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, if you follow Gritty, we saw his personality emerge right from the very beginning. And the Philadelphia Flyers, really were willing to have people hate Gritty for a year. But the whole country embraced Gritty. He came out at just the right time, and we embraced him. He was he's a remarkable member of the population of the United States of America, for goodness sakes.
Thank you for talking with me, Jennifer, and sharing a glimpse into the world of Avant Garb's custom character costume creation. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more costume construction content. And check out this playlist for more interviews with professional costume makers.
Life is grand.